What's up, Auburn? Pastor Crespo here with Pastor Dustin Hall. Here we are once again, the Try Jesus Auburn podcast. We are here. This is Christmas week.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we are not far away from celebrating the birth of the Lord Jesus Christ. This is part 4 of our 4 episodes of Christmas series. Again, you know, we're kind of doing a little tongue-in-cheek 12 days of Christmas leap to just the 4 episodes of Christmas. But here we are. This is the last episode where we're going to be talking about Christmas and things related to it. Pastor Dustin's been taking us through looking at Christmas, and really, you know, you've expanded my horizons a little bit on this thing. I mean, you know, I have looked at these things, and you know, you're always preparing and you're speaking on Christmas. But I tell you, there's something I didn't really think about till you brought it up. So I'm happily going to be stealing those ideas for my presentations. But anyway, tryjesusauburn.com is the website. We communicate with you through this episode, through the podcast, but we would love for you to communicate with us through the website. Go to tryjesusauburn.com. You can get involved in online Bible studies. You can ask questions. You can download previous episodes. What else? What am I? Oh, merchandise. You can get free shirts, Bibles. I think there's a lot of things you can do there. Check it out, tryjesusauburn.com. We would love, let us know what you think about the podcast. You know, and of course, questions. We always love questions. Well, Dustin, we are here. This is episode 4. You know, we're not far away from opening our gifts. So before we get started, I'm just curious. No, I'm not going to ask you that question.
What I got you for Christmas?
No, I'm going to ask you what you got your kids for Christmas. Because
they might hear this. I can't tell you.
Okay.
We wait till the last minute. So
are you last minute shoppers?
Yeah, I can be. Yeah,
really?
I can.
I you know, our kids are older now. Where, you know, when they were little, they got all this thrill out of gifts. Now, you know, they don't get so thrilled out of gifts. And probably because we don't have the money to buy them more spectacular gifts. But you know, we enjoy the family time now. And so you know, we still try to buy a few things here and there, but now I think we're at an age where the relationship, the eating together, you know, just hanging out. It seems to be that's the gift. At least that's what I'm going to tell them, and then I'm going to spend all my money on myself.
There you go.
Anyway, sorry. Well, here we are. This is episode 4. We're talking about some Christmas origins. Yeah. And I had a question on the first episode of this series that I thought I'd wait till now. So I'm going to ask it. And then, you know, I know this is kind of the direction you wanted to go in anyway. Yeah. So the issue is related to Christmas and whether or not we should observe it as Christians, which is kind of weird. I think people who are on the street, when they say that Christians are actually talking about whether they should observe Christmas or not. Are you even a Christian? Yeah. You know, if you don't celebrate Christmas, you're not Christian. That's what. But I think you know what I'm talking about. The roots of the celebration of Christmas. Is Christmas bad to observe? I mean, what say you?
So again, as we said in the first episode, there's no biblical mandate that says thou shalt worship on December 25th or celebrate on December 25th. And the people that have this idea, they believe that the origins, the date, and some of the practices resemble pagan worship. So December 25th, most likely, and we covered this in the first Christmas episode, likely was not the day Jesus was born. He's probably born in the spring sometime, maybe summer. Not December 25th. December 25th, historically, probably had more to do with the winter solstice. And the winter solstice was part of some pagan forms of worship. They worship the sun god, and you know,
it's
winter
the shortest
could be
day of the year or something like that.
Yeah, winter could be the death of the sun and then the resurrection of the sun in the spring when the days get longer and things like this. So some of those elements there are also elements where some of the pagan religions would take evergreen branches and bring them in their house to sort of preserve the life of the evergreen tree, to remind them that life would spring forth in the spring and things like that. So they see the Christmas tree and some of the Christmas decorations and the date being somehow related to pagan worship. So let's just think about that for a second. I don't worship pagan gods on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
You can't indirectly worship a pagan god. You're either worshiping a pagan god or you're not. And I am not. When I celebrate Christmas, I'm not directly worshiping a pagan god. Now, in a little bit, we're going to tell you how it can become a form of paganism in a way that people didn't think. So stick to the end of the episode because it has to do with self-worship. But we'll talk about that here in just a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, it's not wrong to celebrate the birth of Jesus any day of the year, let alone December 25th, when the whole world is talking about the birth of Jesus. Why wouldn't you celebrate and participate in something that has become a Christian focus, a Christ focus? Why wouldn't you participate and be part of that? It makes no sense whatsoever.
I agree. The struggle that I have is that, how do you put this? It is possible for a Christian to be so heavenly minded that they're no earthly good.
Mm-hmm.
And you're trying to be pure, so pure that you can't even connect with people who aren't on the same level as you,
Right.
And I think sometimes people miss this. To the world, I don't want to say non-Christian, but to those who aren't devout Christians, to the rest of the world, when a Christian says, I don't celebrate Christmas, okay, if you're Jewish,
yeah,
fine. But if you're Christian and you don't, that's great. That's wonderful. But you have to understand that the world sees you as you're not Christian.
Yeah. Right.
And you miss an opportunity. I think you miss an opportunity.
Well, and it's not wrong to not celebrate Christmas.
Right.
I mean, you can choose not to, but there's nothing wrong with it either. And I would say, like you're saying, you're missing out on an opportunity.
Yeah.
So there's another verse that comes to mind that people quote. It's in Ezekiel, and it talks about going out into the forest and cutting down a tree and bringing it into your house and decorating it. But people that use that verse have no idea what it's actually talking about. Ezekiel, the practice of the Christmas tree was not even invented until about the 1400s. They didn't start bringing in trees and decorating trees until about the 1400s in Germany. Okay, so Ezekiel happened way before the 1400s. And that verse is specifically talking about crafting an idol.
Right.
So people would go out into the forest, they'd cut down a tree, they'd carve an idol out of it, and then bring it into their house and worship that idol.
Right.
That is not what we're doing when we're setting up a Christmas tree in our house.
Right.
And so there's some people that are so worried that if you do something that somehow resembles pagan practices, you're participating in pagan religion. And there's a lot of things I could say about this. One is that, the Bible talks about graven images, and there are some people that take it as far as saying, we're not going to have any pictures in our house. You can't have pictures of yourself in your house.
Right.
There are pillars in front of your house were a form of phallic worship in some pagan traditions. So windows, stained glass, invented by pagans. So are we going to really purge every little piece of everything that ever originated in paganism from our lives? Or can we say a stained glass window is very beautiful in a church and it brings honor and glory to Jesus when we honor him with art? Same with December 25th. And there's a verse that I really would like people to see. So it's in 1 Corinthians chapter 8. So Paul was constantly dealing with this issue of people worrying they're being tainted by paganism. And one of the ways that they were worried they were being tainted by paganism was eating food sacrificed to idols. And the Jews were extremely strict about that. Well, listen to what he says in 1 Corinthians chapter 8. He says, therefore, as to the eating of food offered to idols, we know that an idol has no real existence, and there is no God but one. For although there may be so-called gods in heaven or on earth, he's talking about the pagan gods, and indeed there are many gods and many lords, yet over us there's only one God. So he's saying people worship all their gods and things. But what he's getting at is they don't exist. So what are you worried about? That's what he's getting at. So he says, the many gods, lords, yet for us there's one God, the Father, from whom are all things and for whom we exist. One Lord, Jesus Christ, through whom all things and through whom we exist. So he's saying God is the only God that's actually alive anyway, the only real God that exists. The other gods don't exist. So why are you so worried about, why are you so strict about thinking that you're going to be tainted by gods that aren't real. They're not real. There's only one God that's real.
Right, right.
So just because something may have originated with paganism doesn't mean that by having Jesus in your mind, by bringing a tree into your house or an evergreen branch into your house, you're somehow participating or going to be somehow affected by gods, because those gods don't exist anyway.
Right.
They don't exist. Why are we worried about it? He's saying, don't worry about it.
Well, I also think, and I agree. I find myself, though, when I have people pose this question, that it's like, how far do you want to take that question?
Mhm.
Because you can apply that to just about any other
Yes.
thing in life. Should you celebrate birthdays?
Mhm.
Do you celebrate Christmas? What other things are there? Well, what about just national holidays? They're
Mhm.
not biblical.
Right.
There's a lot of things that you can look at, and not only are they not pagan, the gods don't exist, but I think sometimes we have to recognize that certain cultures have certain things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
Whole holidays, I won't call them holy holidays or special events. We celebrate in the United States Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
It's a truly unique American thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the origins of that go way back to when the Pilgrims didn't survive or made it through a winter after a lot of them died.
Yeah.
And then coming back around, they wanted to show gratitude to God
Mm-hmm.
and all the things that went on there. But it's okay as a Christian to be happy and have fun, isn't it? I mean, is it okay to celebrate cultural holidays?
Of course.
So,
Of course.
I mean, I think that's the part that sometimes, no matter what you do, there's always something's always going to have an issue with it.
Well,
But
even Paul, in Paul's writings, you see that he enjoyed probably the Olympic Games that were taking place, and that started in Greece and continued in Roman times. He talks about boxing. He talks about running races. True story. So I pastored a church that would decorate each year with pumpkins in the fall. And there were some people in that church that said, you can't have pumpkins in here because it celebrates Halloween and blah, 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 blah. And I said, can you tell me who made the pumpkin? Well, God made the pumpkin. Okay, so we can't have something that God made in our church?
Yeah.
So people can get so wrapped up. And I think, and this leads to the second part of this conversation, we can so think we are in control of our own salvation that we think we're paying honor to God. We think that we're being holy, but what we're actually doing is worshiping our own passions and desires.
Mm-hmm.
And some people think that they are saving themselves by eradicating all things, quote unquote, pagan from their lives,
Right.
not realizing that they're actually participating in a form of paganism by doing that. Because the roots of paganism are this. So think about this. In that verse I referenced, you go out to the forest, you cut down a tree, you craft an idol out of it, you worship the idol, you decorate the idol. What is the motivation for doing that? Ever thought about that? You worship an idol in order to what?
I'm not sure.
Get something out of it.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. Protection, money.
Yeah, this was the problem with paganism all along.
Yeah.
It's actually self-worship.
Absolutely. At the end of it, it's exactly
It's
right.
works-based worship. So I do something in order to get something from that God. And this is what separates Christianity from every other world religion.
Right.
God gives it whether we work for it or not. It's full and free. God gives his salvation despite us. Other world religions, including paganism, say you do something in order to get something back from God. That's not Christianity. So the people that are so worried about eradicating paganism are actually being pagan.
Right.
By performing a work, thinking they're pleasing God, and they'll get something out of that transaction.
Well, you just blew the minds of a bunch of people out there who are thinking they're standing up for right, and they've just been told, actually, you're on the other side.
In a way, yes. And I think, though, on the other side of the coin, I think we can do this with Christmas too.
Yeah.
So we can make it actually pagan without even realizing it.
Well, I was going to ask you this question.
Yeah.
So of course, Christmas is going to come here in a couple of days. And everything. I kind of agree with what you were saying, but your children are probably well, they may be a little bit younger than mine average wise, but
Mhm.
they're about the same age.
Mhm.
And there was a time when there was the wonder of that morning. I don't know if it was, but
Yep.
the gifts and the food and everything.
Yep.
What are things that you did
Mhm.
so that you could enjoy Christmas, but still give
Yeah.
it some spiritual
How
value?
do we make it about Jesus?
Yeah, yeah. Just if you could
Because
share a little bit of what you did, and maybe
yeah,
those that are watching.
yeah, and I think it's important to make this point. If Christmas is all about us and what we get, it is pagan. Because the root of paganism is self,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? So if we are ourselves the center of of the way we celebrate
Yeah.
Christmas, we've just created a new type of paganism, pagan worship,
Yeah.
because it's self. So
Mhm.
how do we truly make Christ the focus of Christmas?
Right.
So let's just talk about a few things. How many families actually sit at home and read the Bible story of the story of Christmas? You know,
Right.
you can get so caught up in the presents and the glitter and the lights and all this stuff, but how many actually spend time thinking about, talking about, reading the story of Christmas with
Right.
your
Right.
family
Yep.
and your friends? So that's one way. Another way is to do something good for people in need. Spend time during the holiday season, not just maybe spending all of your money on yourselves and your family and your kids, but have your kids participate. One thing that we did, especially when the kids were young, was we adopted a needy family, and we had our kids participate in taking presents to those families and watching the faces of these people and these children light up who wouldn't have had a
Yeah.
Christmas on their own.
Yeah. Wow.
So bless other people during this time and involve your kids in blessing other people, because Jesus came to bless us.
Right.
So we want to participate in that same sort of behavior to bless others.
Mm-hmm.
So the real spirit of Christmas is giving, is love, it's grace, it's mercy. Show love to other people and involve your kids in doing that as well.
Yeah.
The third thing is go to church. Find your way into a church, into a Christmas Eve service.
Yeah.
Find your way to worship one way or another and spend time with God, thanking Him for the beautiful gift of His Son. Spend time actively doing that. One other thing I love to do during the Christmas time, we play Christmas songs all the
Mm-hmm.
time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have ever looked into the history of some of the songs that were written, the hymns, especially the
Mm-hmm.
Christian songs about Christmas, they're amazing stories. Silent Night's amazing origin story. Joy to the World, it's an amazing origin story, where they came from and what gave the inspiration.
Yeah.
And it can really kind of put you in a different place and put your mind in a different place to help you kind of keep the focus where it's supposed to be.
Right.
You can cut down on the presents. So rather than mountains and mountains and mountains of presents under your tree, cut down and spend the money and the time on other things, maybe like blessing others or
Right.
things like
Right.
that. It can be so distracting from the true purpose of Christmas if it's all about the presents. And
Mhm,
don't get me
mhm.
wrong, gift giving is wonderful. It's beautiful to see your kids' faces
Yeah.
light up.
Yeah.
I don't want to draw attention away from that. But the fact of the matter is, it's possible at times that even you kids get so many presents that they even forget how many presents they got.
Mm-hmm.
I've actually seen that. The kids have so many things, they'll play with the couple big things that they get and
Yeah.
forget that there's all these other little things in the corner that they got for
Right.
Christmas.
Right.
So maybe cut out some of the extra and do something good or
Right.
meaningful with it.
No, I mean, we've done some of those things too with our family through the years. They're older now, but I remember, 4 or 5 in the morning, they were up.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to open some presents. I
Yep.
said, nope, not until we read the story.
Yeah.
And we would read the story and just I tried to tell them, we give gifts to you because we want you to know that we love you,
Mm-hmm.
just like God gives gifts to us.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, when they're little, you don't know how much of that they get.
Yeah.
It's when they get older, hopefully, that they'll remember those
Right.
things. But I enjoy this time of year.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I think that I wake up every Christmas morning, and one of the first things I do is I just say thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the gift you gave me, because my life would not be what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be much infinitely worse.
Yep.
So we have Christmas coming up,
Mm-hmm.
and we have, we've been doing the 4 episodes of Christmas here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We will not be doing an episode on Christmas morning,
No.
but if you want to leave a message with someone,
Yeah.
what would you like them to think about on Christmas morning?
Wake up on Christmas morning and realize that the breath that you take into your lungs, the life that you have, is a gift of God's grace directly to you. Like I've heard people say, take your hand, put it on your heart. If you feel that it's beating, it's because God's grace is covering your life.
Amen.
And so don't take any moment of Christmas Day for granted. Soak in your family, soak in every breath, soak in all the good food that you're going to eat, and give God the honor and glory for it.
Yeah.
And not just that, don't just soak in the blessings, but also give out blessings, kind words. If your family is struggling, you're estranged from each other, listen, there's only so many years we get on planet Earth. Family is about one of the only things we can take with us to heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Do what it takes to heal those wounds and bridge those barriers. Heal your families, and remember that this is all a blessing and a gift from God, made possible by His Son that He gave as a gift for you and me.
Amen. Wow. Yeah, I think what I would like for you, if you're listening, first, Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoy this holiday, because I'm trying to. I'm enjoying it. Whether I'm not letting anyone take this away from me. I'm enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're younger, you're thinking about presents. If you're a kid, if you happen to be watching, you're thinking, what I got for Christmas? Actually, who am I kidding? I'm a grown man. I'm still like, what are you getting me? Dustin, what are you?
Yeah.
But really, look, if you get more excited about what you got that morning than what you got as a gift 2,000 years ago, you're missing the boat.
Yeah.
You're missing the boat. The best gift that you got, you already got.
Yeah.
And that was a sacrifice of Jesus.
Amen.
And He came as a baby.
Yeah.
And so if we were to sum this up, He chose to come, right? He
chose us.
He chose us. He chose us over Himself.
Yep.
Right? The day that the Christmas came is not as important of the fact that we take time. Imagine a pagan world that is antithetical, that hates God, whether they like it or not. Once a year, the name Jesus is on the lips of a lot of people. Take advantage of it, right? Don't get hung up on whether it's right, bad, or take advantage of every opportunity. The wise men, boy, it's too bad that the wise men had to be people from outside of the family, to get it. Don't be one of those. Don't be like that. And of course, here we are, Christmas time. That's it for me. I don't know if there's anything else you want to share before we.
I think you summed it up. Merry Christmas to everybody. Spend time with your family, soak it all in, like I said, and we hope that we're becoming a part of your family here with our Try Jesus effort.
Amen to that. And if you've enjoyed this series, let us know. TryJesusAuburn.com. Drop Pastor Dustin a note. We would love to hear from you. Merry Christmas, everyone.